I turned a sheet of EPS insulation foam into this ultra-realistic jack-o'-lantern. Stick around, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Recently, I needed a pumpkin so I could recreate my pumpkin carving skeleton animatronic for an upcoming video. But when I went to buy one, I found out they're almost impossible to find when it's not Halloween, and there aren't exactly any pumpkin patches open in June. So I figured it was the perfect opportunity to see if an idea that I've had for years could actually work. Now, a solid foam block would have made this project a lot easier, but I wanted to build it with materials that anyone could easily find. And EPS insulation foam is inexpensive, comes in a variety of thicknesses, and you can find it at just about any home improvement store. Back in the garage, I took some measurements with my super math skills and figured I could get 4 pumpkins out of one sheet. So I cut the sheet into 12-inch strips and then cut those into 12-inch squares. The next step was to glue these squares together into solid blocks I could carve. Now, when it comes to adhesives, there's a lot of options. In fact, I just filmed a whole video testing a bunch of them. For this project, I decided to go with Great Stuff. It does leave a thin layer between the pieces, which isn't ideal, but it's super strong and dries really quick so that I could get right back to work. Now that my block was finished, I could finally turn it into a pumpkin. But first, how about a giant marshmallow? I stuck this skewer down the middle to keep track of the center. It'll make everything a lot easier and come in handy later. First, I trimmed down the corners to turn the block into a distressed cylindrical shape, or as the common folk call it, a cylinder. I try to do as much shaping as I can with the fillet knife or hot knife because they make a lot less mess than the beast I am about to unleash, the curry comb. It's actually a tool for grooming horses, but it works incredibly well for quickly removing material and shaping smooth, rounded contours in foam. Oh yeah, you remember that skewer? Well, I drilled a hole in this piece of plywood so I could spin the pumpkin around while I worked. Kind of my poor man's version of a sculptor's turntable. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm very proud of it. Next, I marked a circle around the top to guide me as I carved out the recessed area around the stem. Carving foam can be strangely therapeutic, almost mesmerizing. And you just have to let the material guide you. And after a while, you stop carving the foam,
and the foam starts carving you.
Now, like I said, the curry comb leaves a pretty big mess, and these little foam beads stick to everything. One trick I found is to keep a spray bottle nearby. A light mist helps reduce the static, making cleanup much easier. Not perfect, but definitely better. Next, it was time to sand smooth the rough surface left by the curry comb. Now, for years, I tried everything from 220 down to 60 grit, and it took forever. And then someone tipped me off to try 36 grit, and I couldn't believe the difference. It smoothed the foam out incredibly fast and saved a ton of time. It's a little hard to find in stores, so I'll leave a link to the kind I use in the description. Next, I followed up with some 120 grit sandpaper before adding the details to the pumpkin. Pumpkins come in all shapes and sizes, and because I study pumpkin anatomy in my spare time, I know they usually have somewhere between 15 to 30 ribs. I traced a circle using a spray can lid that's about the same size as the stem, marked out 20 evenly spaced points, and then stretched a piece of elastic between the top and bottom of the skewer to use as a guide. Now, you could totally freehand this, but the guide does help keep things in line. To route the lines and shape the ribs, I wrapped some sandpaper around a little plastic squeegee I had lying around that just happened to be the perfect profile. And then I switched to a plain piece of sandpaper for the finer details. Real pumpkins aren't perfectly smooth. A simple trick is to just press your thumbs and fingers into the foam. It creates little lumps and depressions that make the pumpkin look a lot more realistic. I used some lightweight spackle to fill the tiny pits the sandpaper couldn't reach. I especially like this kind from DAP because you can just apply it with your fingers. It dries super fast, so you can start sanding or painting in like 15 minutes. Hey, I'd like to take a second to talk about this channel. If you're into Halloween props, woodworking, or just making cool stuff, I'd love for you to follow along. Please consider subscribing. It's the best way to make sure you don't miss future videos like this. Now let's get that pumpkin cut in half. Now this might be one of my favorite parts of the whole build. I sliced the pumpkin in 2 halves using my homemade hot wire cutter. It leaves an incredibly clean cut, making it easy to line the 2 halves back up later. Next, I swapped the blade on my hot knife for one that I shaped to work more like a pumpkin scooper so I could hollow out the inside. To make sure I didn't carve the walls too thin, I wrapped a piece of tape around the skewer 1 inch from the end. That way, when my carving tool hit it, I knew to stop. Now it was time to turn this pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern and give it a face. And next was the time-honored tradition of carving the jack-o'-lantern. Before putting the pumpkin back together, it was time to paint the inside. I started with a base coat of Blazing Orange by Behr. To make it look more like real pumpkin flesh, I sponged on a lighter mix of Blazing Orange white with a touch of burnt umber. And finally, I added 1 more light sponge coat of the Blazing Orange, and I was really happy with how it turned out. Now, you might be wondering why I'm spending so much time painting the inside of a pumpkin that most people will never see. Well, it all started when I went to the Halloween trade show this year and saw these incredibly real pumpkins made by Adam Jess Effects. They completely blew me away, and ever since I've been obsessed with trying to recreate what I saw. They're made with silicone molds, and someday I'd love to learn that process, but for now I wanted to see how close I could get using nothing more than a sheet of foam. I figured if mine ends up looking even half as good, I'll be more than happy. With the inside painted, it was time to put the pumpkin back together. I applied some great stuff around the perimeter, lined up the 2 halves, and pressed them together. The great stuff is plenty strong on its own, but just for a little extra insurance, I reinforced the seam with a few toothpicks. Next, I started the stem. Van Oaks Props has a great video on making one, and I'm using what I learned from it here with one interesting modification. Okay, we've got our stem on our pumpkin, and this is where things get interesting. In the original Van Oaks video, he uses epoxy putty, which works great, but for some reason I've had this sitting in my cabinet for 2 years, and every time I go to use it, I find some reason not to. Another option is this foam clay, but it does take 24 to 48 hours to dry, and sometimes that's not ideal. So I had another idea. Great stuff. This is such a cool technique. Check this out. By carefully controlling the flow of the gun, you can create the perfect size beads to form the ribs of the stem. And as soon as it doesn't stick to your fingers, you can start to tap it and reduce how much it expands, and then you can start to mold it. I started with my fingers, and then I grabbed a few things I had lying around to give it some more detail. You have about 10 minutes working time before it starts to get too hard to mold. And what I love is by the time you're done, it's dry, it's ready to paint. Plus, it's super durable, and you can even cut and sand it if you need to. I was just so excited and couldn't believe how well it worked. And then I painted it with Drylock, which is like a thick, sandy paint to give it that rough texture that stems have, the kind that sometimes stings your fingers. Now it was ready for paint, but there was one more thing to do. Paint it with glue. The glue will give our pumpkin an extra protective coating, and what's great is it dries somewhat flexible, so it's not going to be prone to cracking. The glue will also help keep the edges of the face from chipping. I also cut a hole in the bottom of the pumpkin that's just big enough for my pumpkin light to fit into. Nice snug fit. For the outside, I tested a lot of different shades before settling on Pumpkin Patch Orange by Behr. I brushed on a base coat, then went back over it with a roller to remove the brush marks. And then I gave it some time to dry. So I was waiting for the paint to dry, and I stood back and looked at the pumpkin and thought it just looks a little too artificial. So I grabbed the toothbrush and used the soft end to start making some indentations, and I couldn't believe how well it worked. I mean, now the skin looks just like the lumpy skin of a real pumpkin. I'm sure that some of that foam will expand back out, but I think enough of it's gonna stay to look really cool. Next, I rolled on a 50-50 mix of pumpkin patch and blazing orange to add some depth. Finally, I lightly sponged on some of the blazing orange to bring out the highlights. I finished painting the stem. After I coated it with Drylock, I covered it with burnt umber and then wiped the excess off. And then I mixed some different paint colors together just to give it some highlights, and I think it turned out great. To protect it from the outdoors, I gave it a coat of this water-based spar urethane. It's rated for exterior use and helps protect it from the UV rays. I used a satin finish on the pumpkin and a matte on the stem. Then I sponged on some watered down burnt umber and wiped away the excess so that it could fill in the low spots and give the pumpkin a more weathered and aged look. And with that, the pumpkin was complete. Well, there you have it. Considering that this started out with a piece of insulation foam, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I hope you found this video useful or at least entertaining. If you end up building something like this, I'd love to hear about it, so let me know in the comments. I'm Dennis, this is Dead on Design. Thanks for creating with me.